As you all know, it's call and response, so I'll be leading and then please sing along. If you don't know the words, does everyone know the words, the lyrics to Jai Radha Madhava?
No.
It's over there.
Okay.
Yes, you can have a singing response. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Turning up everybody, and I'll be giving a lecture today, and the topic is the Damodar pastimes. So you must already have heard about this before or know the Leela a little bit, but this is our topic for today. So Om Gyanatimirandasya Jananjana Shlakaya Chakshurum Meditamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Nitinamine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vaschachari Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shivasari Gauravakaruna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakapatu Ischakapasini Vyaya Chaptitam Bhavadebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Yeah, so Hare Krishna everyone, and yeah, I think I kind of owe you an apology actually, first of all. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Shravan Krishna Prabhu for giving me the opportunity to do this lecture. And second thing, I owe you an apology because I came half prepared. It was a bit busy last week. We had quite a few programs. And I was meant to prepare, my initial plan was to prepare some slides as we were requested to do. But yeah, sorry Prabhu, unfortunately, I didn't get around to doing it. And so it's just going to be a lecture. So, first of all, I'd like to put a little emphasis and give a little context before moving on to the Damodar Leela. So as you all know, we've got, in this process of Krishna consciousness, we've basically got 3 steps. The first one is called Sambandha Gyan, which you might have heard. It's not necessarily restricted to the Bhagavad Gita, but it's basically Sambandha Gyan means knowing who we are, what relationship we've got with Krishna, and what is the role of Guru in our spiritual life. And then once we get the knowledge of Sambandha Gyan, we move on to sadhana. So there's sadhana, there's sadhya, and then there's abhideya, and there's prayojana, which means the same. So abhideya is the process by which we attain the goal, and the goal is abhideya. So that's what we do. And today the Damodara Leela, it is quite esoteric in the sense that it involves the intimate pastimes of Lord Krishna. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the goal, right? So we talk about Sambandhagan, about the philosophy, we are not this body, we are the soul, and then we talk about sadhana, what is the process of sadhana. So we need to wake up every day, 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, there are various prayers that Srila Prabhupada was merciful to give us and to keep us engaged and focused so we can achieve a goal. And he also told us to follow the 4 regulating principles and to chant a minimum of 16 rounds on our japa. So 16 rounds of Mahamantra. Right? So to know the goal, first of all, I'll speak about Vrindavan. So Vrindavan is the place where Krishna stays. This is the place where the Lord stays. And when Krishna descends and he comes to perform his leelas on earth, so the whole, not only his associates, but the whole Dham, Vrindavan Dham, the whole Dham descends with him. So Vrindavan in the spiritual world is called Goloka Vrindavan. So this is from Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and it's written by our previous acharyas. And Srila Prabhupada did mention, he said anyone who wants to achieve pure devotional service should read Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So this little bit is taken from the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and the rest of the lecture is basically I'm sharing things that I listened from various disciples of Srila Prabhupada and also from the Srimad Bhagavatam and other literatures by our previous acharya. So when we speak of Vrindavan, there's Goloka Vrindavan, which is the spiritual world located in Krishna Loka. And then when Krishna descends to perform his leelas, this expansion of Vrindavan is called Gokula Vrindavan. And this is also called Bhoma Vrindavan. So this is the Vrindavan we have here. And we are fortunate we can even go and visit. But in that Vrindavan, there's Prakat Leelas and there's Aprakat Leelas. Prakat Leela means Leelas which are manifest. So we can see. When Krishna was here, everyone could see. These Leelas are happening. But Aprakat means they are not visible. So the Leelas are still going on in Vrindavan nowadays. But it's just Aprakat, so it's not manifested. So when we go to Vrindavan, Vrindavan is actually covered by Yoga Maya. So we can't really see Vrindavan unless we have the adhikar to go and enter the Leelas and see the real Vrindavan. Because if you go to Vrindavan, if any random person goes to Vrindavan, what you might see, okay, a bit people littering, you know, that might catch your eye. You might see, okay, there's pigs around and there's this and that. Where's that Vrindavan that I've been reading about in the books? It's not that Vrindavan because this Vrindavan is covered with Yoga Maya. So we have to have the eyes to see. And then, so in Gokula Vrindavan is the expansion of Goloka Vrindavan, and it appears on this earth. And then there are particular, occasional pastimes which happen here. So the pastimes that happen, it's a little bit varied. So it is the pastimes that happen eternally in Goloka Vrindavan, but then it's more varied down here. And there are certain differences. Certain things are unique. about Boma Leelas, about the Leelas that happened in Gokula. And today we'll have a look at these. So the glories of Gokula Vrindavan are given by Narad Muni in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So he describes 6 things which he says have achieved their final perfection. So when he speaks about the Lord's opulences, he speaks about the Lord's mercy, he speaks about the Lord's, so number 1 is opulence, number 2 is mercy, number 3 is beauty, number 4 is sweetness of his qualities, number 5 is the splendor of his pastimes, and number 6 is his subservience to his devotees. So in that sense, in terms of opulences, we can see that even Mahalakshmi wanted to go to Vrindavan, but she couldn't go to Vrindavan. Maybe you must have heard about this, Leela. She wasn't qualified to get in Vrindavan, so she couldn't go. But for the goddess of fortune, she is the goddess of fortune, and for her to be attracted to Vrindavan, so how opulent must Vrindavan be? Right? And in his Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma says that the gopis are actually super goddesses of fortune, and they're way beyond Lakshmi. So in this way, the Lord shows his opulences. This is the opulence of Gokula Vrindavan. And the second thing also, he mentions that Gokula, there are various things, but we won't get into all those details because that's not the main topic of today. But there's also Kalpa Vriksha trees. And the Kalpa Vriksha trees are wish-fulfilling trees. So these trees can fulfill any wish. So Vrindavan is opulent, Gokula Vrindavan is opulent in that way. And then we have the Lord's mercy. So we see in Gokula Vrindavan, there are the apparition of various demons, right? So in Goloka Vrindavan, in the spiritual world, there are no demons. There's only rumors of such and such Leela happening, but these Leelas actually happen in Boma Vrindavan. So the Lord gives his special mercy, because say if we take the example of Putana, right? Do you know who Putana is? So can you tell us what she did?
She poisoned her breasts and tried to kill Krishna by poisoning him with her milk.
She tried to kill Krishna by poisoning him with her milk. But Krishna was so merciful that because Putana had a glimpse of maternal relationship with Krishna, just because of that, the Lord showed his mercy and he made her one of his mothers, or one of her acting mothers. So basically she gave her Vatsalya Ras. She gave that to Putana. And then there's Agasura. And who's Agasura?
A giant snake.
Giant snake. And do you know who she was? She's the brother of Putana. And when Krishna killed Agasura, he gave him Swarup Mukti. Swarupya Mukti. So he gave him liberation. He went to Vaikuntha. Right? And the reason? There's no reason, just because he was Putana's brother. So in that way, there are many various pastimes where the Lord shows his special mercy to all these demons like that. And then speaking about the beauty, so the beauty of Krishna has never been seen before in this world, because it's only seen in the spiritual world. So this is one of the uniqueness. So his beauty, and one of the beauty of Krishna. Krishna is so beautiful that even himself is amazed by his beauty. And the gopi are all attracted to his beauty. The Brijbasis would curse Brahma because he created eyelids. So Krishna is so beautiful, they don't even want to close their eyes. So they curse Brahma, why did you give us eyelids? So we have to close our eyes and we can't see Krishna for that fraction of a second. You know, it is also said like when Krishna is walking with a coward voice, and Krishna walks behind a tree, in that fraction of a second the cowboys are devastated just because we can't see Krishna for for a fraction of a second. So this might go beyond our head. You know, these things, because it's esoteric pastimes of love, but it might go beyond our heads. But if you think about it, this is the kind of attraction we're trying to develop to Krishna. Do we have this kind of attraction? Are we attracted by the beauty of Krishna? No, we are working on it, right? So we're working on it. So then, the other bit, it says the sweetness of Krishna's qualities. So one of Krishna's greatest qualities is his flute playing. So the residents of Vrindavan were enchanted by his flute playing. So when Krishna would play the flute, the meditation of great sages who were meditating, their meditation would be broken because we can hear Krishna's flute, right? The moons and the planets would stop. Even the deer, the birds, the cows, and all the other animals, they could taste the love of Krishna when they could hear his flute. So this is the sweetness of his qualities. And then we have the splendor of his pastimes. And there are so many pastimes of Krishna in Gokula Vrindavan. And these pastimes are unique to Gokula Vrindavan. Right? So we are very fortunate we took birth on Earth, this planet, because Gokula Vrindavan only appears on Earth. Right? So its expansion appears on Earth. And then there's so many pastimes of Krishna that he performed in Gokula Vrindavan. For example, there's the Komara pastimes. So who can say what the Komara pastimes are? So Krishna performed loads of pastimes. So Komara is from birth till the age of 5. This is called the Komara pastimes. So all the pastimes that Krishna performed is called the Komara pastimes within that age, right? And then there's the Boganda pastimes. So this is from 5 years old to 10 years old. Krishna performs his pastimes. And then the pastimes that Krishna performs after 10 until the age of 15 is called Kaishora pastimes. And Krishna, what is his age in the spiritual world? Krishna is eternally a 16-year-old boy, isn't he? He's eternally young. He's eternally a 15, 16-year-old boy like that. But in the spiritual world, he's eternally like that. But these pastimes, they are unique to Gokula Vrindavan. So stealing butter, killing of demons, the Brahma Vimohan Leela, it only happens in Gokula Vrindavan. So these childhood pastimes are unique to Gokula Vrindavan. And the last bit, that's the glory of Vrindavan, is Krishna's subservience to his devotees. So how is Krishna subservient to his devotees? You know the word subservient. What does subservient mean? You can help it. Well, subservient means he engages in the service of his devotees. He is subservient. So he serves his devotees. And how is Krishna subservient to his devotees? So this is what we're going to speak about today, basically. So Krishna, he lets Mother Yashoda tie him. He lets Mother Yashoda bind him with her robes. So this is one occasion where he shows how he's subservient to his devotees. So that being said, we can move on to the Damodara Leela now. So the pastime of the Damodara Leela, it shows how Krishna is subservient to his devotees, and it actually happened not far from a place called the Brahmanda Ghat. So these places are all in Nanda Maharaja's courtyard. And Brahmanda Ghat is the place where Krishna, he ate dust, and then Mother Yashoda came and she opened his mouth and she was like, "What did you eat?" So So everyone was like, oh, Krishna is eating dust. And when Mother Yashoda asked him, did you eat dust? And he said, no. You know, and then he said, open your mouth, let me see. So when she opened Krishna's mouth, what did she see? She's seen the entire universe. And she's seen all the planets. So this is one of the Leelas of Krishna. So this Leela, the Damodar Leela, this happens like in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. And this Damodar Leela, it happened a couple of 100 meters from where the Brahmananda Leela happened. You see? So the place where it happened is actually called Ukal Bandhan. So Ukal means grinding mortar, and Bandhan means to tie. So one thing, I mean, I've listened to this Leela for years, but one thing that didn't come to mind is this Leela actually happens on Deepavali. Who likes to celebrate Deepavali? Yeah, so this Leela actually happened on Deepavali. So there's two main events on Deepavali. So there's this Damodar Leela, right? And then there's also the Leela in another yuga where Lord Ramachandra comes back to Ayodhya after vanquishing Ravana. So these two things happen on Deepavali. And so there's one quick question I wanted to ask you. Why does Krishna steal butter? So we all know Krishna is also called Makhan Chor. So it means he's a thief and he steals butter from other houses, other gopis' houses. So does anyone know why Krishna steals butter?
To feed them.
Dirty naughty boy.
He's a naughty boy, okay.
To feed the monkeys.
To feed the monkeys. And what else? Yes. To eat. Yeah, it's to eat. So all of this, but then there's another reason behind it as well. So when my Guru Maharaj came, Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj came, he spoke about this in his lecture, and he said, Krishna, he steals butter because when the gopis of Vrindavan, when they are making butter, they are constantly thinking about Krishna. And we want Krishna to taste this butter. Just like when we cook, when devotees are cooking, this is one thing we need to learn from these Leelas, because these Leelas are not only esoteric, they have many functions, like the killing of demons, and all the Leelas that Krishna performs on Gokula Vrindavan, Boma, it's called the Boma Leelas. He performs them so that we can listen to these Leelas and get rid of our anarthas. So this is the reason it's got an importance to perform these Leelas. And these Leelas, they are all in Krishna book. And Srila Prabhupada, this is one of the first books he distributed. And this book was distributed in millions. The devotees distributed it to, like Ainga Prabhu says, this book was distributed like to someone having a hamburger in his left hand and he was holding Krishna book in his other hand. And Prabhupada wanted everybody to read the Krishna book. Because by reading these Krishna Leelas, we would get rid of our anarthas. And then we would be able to practice and get involved more suitably in our Krishna consciousness. Like that. So, Krishna, coming back to why Krishna steals butter, the gopis, they are so attracted to Krishna that they keep thinking of Krishna all the time. They looked at him as their own son. You know, he was the son of everybody in Vrindavan. So in this way they were meditating on him and they wanted Krishna, they wanted to give this butter to Krishna. But because they had their own restrictions, they had their own children, they have their own family, it's a society, they can't really like just go and give Krishna this butter. So then what does Krishna do? To satisfy their desires, because they made this butter with love and devotion, and their desire is Krishna, taste this butter. So then Krishna makes the arrangement to actually go and taste this butter. So he goes and he steals this butter. Like that. So there's two things to learn there. You know, one is our own desire for Krishna to accept our service. And the second thing is also the state of mind that we need to do service with. So we need to be thinking of Krishna when we're doing service, not that we're just doing service. Because there's two different there's different meanings to actions. So a devotee can be performing the same action as a non-devotee, but the difference is the consciousness. For example, you can see many people sweeping the streets. That's one action. And then one devotee sweeping the temple. The action is the same. Everybody's cooking food. Even in those pubs, in those restaurants, they're all cooking food. But the difference when we're cooking for Krishna and the difference we're cooking for our own sense gratification is the consciousness. So this is something we can take from this. Right? So Krishna, he comes to steal this butter. So now, there's a 6-series seminar on Damodar Leela by Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. And he says that actually Mother Yashoda, she was a little bit concerned because Krishna was stealing butter. So she was a little bit concerned, and I'm paraphrasing it, but she was a little bit concerned that there might be some shortcomings in what she's doing. So she was a little bit anxious. I'm making butter at home. We have butter at home. But why is he going to steal butter from other people? Are we not serving him? Is our service not good enough? That Krishna has to leave and go and get this butter from somewhere else? Right? Because she was also doing the best. We say when we serve Krishna, we need to make each endeavor to give Krishna the best. So even Mother Yashoda, out of the thousands and thousands of cows that she has, there was one cow called Padmaganda. So this cow, they were feeding the cows with all these special grasses. They were really taking care of the cow. But that cow, her milk was a little bit more what's the word Maharaj used here? Flavored. It's like the milk, a really nice flavored milk. So that milk was kept specifically for Krishna. And she was like, but regardless of all of this, he's still going there. So on that day, when the Damodar Leela happened, Mother Yashoda thought, okay, she's seen her, like the household of the gopis in her household, they were already busy with different chores. And she thought, okay, let them be. So she dismissed all of them. And she said, today I'm going to churn the butter myself. So this is the Leela. And Mother Yashoda, she started to churn the butter. And it is said when she's churning the butter, so there's this big wooden pot, and then there's a churning rod, and then there's milk, yogurt inside that container, and then you churn it with this churning rod. It's a quite heavy piece of wood, and so you keep churning until the butter is made, right? And she was singing songs that she had composed about Krishna's pastime. So when Mother Yashoda makes butter, she's singing about Krishna's pastimes. And Bhakti Brihad Bhagavad Maharaj, he describes this pastime. And he says that this is real kirtan. When Mother Yashoda is chanting and making butter, this is real kirtan. And he says because when Mother Yashoda is churning the butter, her bangles are knocking against each other. And they are sounding like kartas. So this is her kartas. So she's singing, there's the sound of kartas in her bangles, and when she's churning the butter, that churning rod is churning this thick yogurt inside of a pot, and it's making a sound like the deep sound of a mridanga. So this is Mother Yashoda's kirtan, and he says this is real kirtan. And he says that devotees, before we perform kirtan, we should actually become absorbed in kirtan alone, and then we can perform kirtan with other devotees, because he says we need to have this absorption when we're not supported by other devotees or people are not uploading our kirtan like that, so this is a really nice pure transcendental kirtan that Mother Yashoda was performing. You know? So for the rest of it, I'm going to read from a nice book called the Vrajendranandana Dāsa, which is a parikram book by His Holiness Lukanand Maharaj. So it describes 30 days of parikram, where the devotees are visiting different places in Vrindavan, and these are the leelas that they speak about. So if you go to visit Vrindavan, you will hear about those leelas, right? So unfortunately, Damodar month is also a month where many devotees go to the Dham, because every action you make, every devotional service is amplified by 1,000 times. But for us, we are not here, but by reading about it, we can also be in the Dham. Once Tama Krishna asked Srila Prabhupada, I can't remember whether it was in Chicago or Los Angeles, it was somewhere in America, and Prabhupada says, well, I'm always in Vrindavan. So even though he's in America, he's in Vrindavan, right? Because Krishna is where his pure name is being chanted. And where Krishna is, all the associates of Krishna and the holy Dham are present together with Krishna. So in that sense, you know, Prabhupada was always in Vrindavan. And so, yeah, so Mother Yashoda was churning the milk, the butter. And then I'll pick up from here. So it says, at some point, baby Krishna, who was sleeping in the room, awoke and wanted to drink his mother's milk. So the Lord was so hungry that he caught hold of a churning rod with his lotus hand to stop his mother's labor and get her to turn her attention to him. Yeah, so he was, during this lila, he was 2 years and 2 months old. He was still a baby, but one thing we need to understand is that because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so the actions he would perform, you know, he can do it. So he went and he held his hand, her hand, sorry. But Mother Yashoda, she also had milk boiling on the stove at the time. So suddenly Mother Yashoda noticed that the milk she had left on the stove was boiling over. So she let Krishna down and ran to the kitchen to take care of the overflowing milk. So Srila Prabhupada makes a comment here, and Srila Prabhupada says, everything in the household affairs of Mother Yashoda was meant for Krishna. But sometimes one must take care of more than one item of important business for the same purpose. Therefore, Mother Yashoda was not unjust when she left her son to take care of the overflowing milk. So this is not child neglect here. Little disclaimer, right? So sometimes even my wife, when we're taking care of this baby, she's like, just hold him, and she's running to do something else. You know, so people who have children, they can relate. Sometimes you might need to do 2 things at the same time and prioritize the most important one. So in this case, the milk was overflowing, it was boiling, and she had to go and take care of it. So for the purpose of his pastime, Krishna became angry at being set aside. His hunger was not yet satisfied. Biting his bimba red lips with his small teeth and crying false tears, he picked up a piece of stone and broke the yogurt churn. Then he went into another room to eat the fresh butter. So that's what Krishna did. So the boiling milk saved, Mother Yashoda then returned to the churning pot, and when she saw that the pot was broken and Krishna was nowhere to be seen, she concluded that this must be his work. So she followed his butter-smeared footprints in search of him. So then Mother Yashoda, she was looking for Krishna and she seen small baby prints. So she followed that, right? what did she see? She seen Krishna was sitting on an overturned grinding motor in the storage room, and he was freely distributing the butter he had stolen to the monkeys. And he was looking around, looking for his mother. He was looking around in fear in case his mother was coming. So when Mother Yashoda saw him like this, she took a stick in her hand. Not to beat him, but she took a stick because she was a little bit angry. Because Krishna, not only did he broke all of this, he did all this, he was very mischievous. She was stealing butter from all the other people's houses. You know, and then now she's done this. So she took a stick and she came. And then she started, what did Krishna do? He just ran. So he just ran off, and Mother Yashoda was chasing him all around with that stick in her hand. You know, and then when she was tired, Krishna, if the Lord doesn't want to get caught, he won't get caught. But because she sees that Mother Yashoda is putting so much effort, so then he let himself get caught by Mother Yashoda. And he pretended to be fearful, and he started to cry. So when he cried, his kajal, like the black ointment they would put on his eyes, it melted and he smeared it all over his face. So Mother Yashoda took him by the hand and chastised him mildly. Right? But when she saw how scared he was, she threw away her stick. Right? And then there's an argument that took place between Mother Yashoda and Krishna. And this is, Srila Jiva Goswami speaks about it here. Krishna says, Mother, do not beat me. Do not beat me. And then Yashoda Mother is telling him, look, you are a thief. You're stealing butter. So you can't do that. It's like she's basically chastising him on his behavior. You know, as every mother would do. You're a young child, you cannot behave in this way. You need to behave yourself. You can't steal butter, you can't break the pots. You can't do this. You're a thief. In this way, a quarrel began. And then Krishna says, well, if I'm a thief, then you must be the king of thieves. Your father's lineage must be a lineage of thieves. Because I'm born from you, so if I'm a thief, then you must be thieves too. So Krishna, he was saying things. At the same time, it could be said, so he said, so Mother Yashoda said, okay, I'll come back to this. So Mother Yashoda said, how did the yoga break? And Krishna says, it was the Supreme Lord's stick that broke the pot. And Mother Yashoda says, so who gave butter to the monkeys? And Krishna said, he who created the monkeys gave it to them. So he was very mischievous. In a way, Mother Yashoda could think like he was lying, but at the same time he's not lying because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he's saying, who broke the pot? He's saying the Supreme Personality of Godhead broke it, but that's himself. But his mother doesn't see him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in that sense, like that, so Mother Yashoda was getting more and more annoyed at Krishna. Right? And then when Krishna says, you are a thief. If I'm a thief, it means you are a thief too. And it is said where he says this because the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they're all relatives of Nanda Maharaj, and they are thieves. Why? Because they stole the heart of Krishna. So this is why they are thieves. So he calls them thieves because they stole his heart. And Krishna is a thief too because he steals the hearts of the Brajvasis. So they each stole their hearts. So the people of Vrindavan stole Krishna's hearts, and then Krishna comes and steals their heart. Like that. So Mother Yashoda continued, the argument continued, and Maharaj said something along those lines, but Krishna said, well, look, I'm just going to go and be with the monkeys. If I'm a thief, I'm just going to go and live with the monkeys in the forest. And then Mother Yashoda was thinking, she was a bit alarmed, and she thought, okay, actually he might just walk away in the forest. And she didn't want that to happen, so she thought, okay, so one thing she can do, because she's got to do her household work, and she's got to take care of Krishna, so she says, okay, I'm going to tie him going to tie him up, and then in this way I can still do my things, and I can keep an eye on him because he's going to be right in front of me. So she decided to tie Krishna to the driving motor, so he wouldn't leave, right? So then she found some rope, and she came to tie him. So she took a rope and she took Krishna and she's tying Krishna. But then when she tied Krishna, she noticed that that rope was short. It was short by 2 fingers, right? So she went and she brought more rope. And she joined pieces of rope together to make a longer rope. And she tied Krishna. Again, this rope was 2 fingers short. So sometimes the translation says rope, but in other lectures I heard it was like the finest, softest string, that she asked for. So in this way she kept bringing rope, and it was always 2 fingers short. So then when this was happening, all the gopis of Vrindavan, they assembled and they were watching this, right? And then Mother Yashoda said to them, can you bring more rope? And they brought more rope, and it was always 2 fingers short. Every time, no matter how much rope they brought, it was always 2 fingers short. And there's one thing that happened there. The gopis that were watching, and they were telling Mother Yashoda, oh no, he's a small child. And they were trying to diffuse that situation. But at the same time, deep down in their hearts, they were laughing, they were happy. Because of their relation with Mother Yashoda, they couldn't tell her, look, we told you so many times that your child is coming to steal butter from our house, but you never believed us. And now, you see, he's doing it in his own house, and he finally got caught red-handed. So they were happy like that, but they didn't say it to Mother Yashoda. So in their heart, they were thinking like this, but externally they were just saying, no, it's okay, just leave him. But anyways, they came with the ropes and tried to bind Krishna. And it was always short by 2 fingers. Yeah. So eventually, Mother Yashoda soon exhausted herself, and her body became covered with perspiration. The gopis finally gave up the idea of trying to bind baby Krishna. So some of them already gave up. They say, okay, we'll just give up. But seeing his beloved mother being both determined and confused, the Lord's soft heart melted, and he agreed to be bound. So he let his mother tie him. So in this way, Krishna, who is always independent, displayed his transcendental willingness to come under the control of his loving devotees. So in the beginning, if you remember, there's 6 qualities of Gokula Vrindavan, and the 6th one was Krishna's subservience to his devotees. So here Krishna is showing his subservience to his devotees. So he lets Mother Yashoda bind him. Krishna submits to his devotees' love to increase his own pleasure as well as the pleasure of his devotees. Yeah. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he comments on this. He says, it was always 2 fingers short. That rope was always 2 fingers short. So even as an example, we will see that even when we try to bind Krishna, when we try to attain Krishna, we'll always be 2 fingers short. So, yeah. So it is said, the shorter finger is actually our extra endeavor, and the longest finger is Krishna Kripa. It's mercy. It is mercy. And speaking about mercy, yeah, I will also we will mention this a little bit later. But yeah, like that. So even when we are doing our spiritual service for Krishna, we always need to remember that we need to put our extra endeavor, and we also need to beg for mercy. So this is the 2 things that we need to obtain Krishna. So then after Krishna was tied up to the motor, the Lord's glance fell on the twin Arjuna trees standing in the courtyard. So just in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj, there were two Arjuna trees. Arjuna trees are massive trees. And these trees grew in such a way, they were like twin Arjuna trees. And they transformed a V shape, which was perfect for Krishna to pull that grinding motor, get the motor stuck into the two trees, and then he pulled, and the two trees just fell down. And when these two trees fell down, it's in the previous, so these trees, in the two demigods appeared, and they were going down to Krishna like this. And this is thank you to Krishna. So this is part of the Leela. In the previous lives, there was the son of Kuvera. One was called Nalakuvera, the other was called Manigriva. So these two others, they were enjoying their father's opulence, and they were disrespectful to Narad Muni. Narad Muni is a sage, and because they were disrespectful, Narad Muni cursed them. And he said, okay, you will be born as these trees. Well, what is a curse is actually a blessing. Because he gave them this curse, but actually this curse made it possible that they would appear as Arjuna trees in the pastimes of Krishna, and Krishna himself personally would come and deliver them. You see? And this is the bit about mercy. So Narad Muni gave them this mercy. And when Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam, sorry, I forgot the verse, I'm a bit underprepared, but in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna actually says, maybe you might have it in this book. Oh yeah, here it is. So it's Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto, 10th chapter, verse number 25. So when Krishna called over to the two Arjuna trees, he was thinking. So here we have Krishna's thoughts. So one thing is, in one lecture, one devotee mentioned, he says, Prabhu, he says there's 3 stages to knowing somebody. So the first stage is you hear that person speak, you hear his words, you might see someone on television or whatever, you hear him talk, right? And the second, one stage higher than that, you get to know how this person interacts with the people around him and with his close associates, right? So this is the second step in knowing somebody. And then the third stage, even higher than that, to get to know somebody, is you know what that person is thinking and what is inside that person's heart. So in a similar way, it's saying that when we read the Bhagavad Gita, this is like the first stage of knowing Krishna. So we know what Krishna is speaking. This is a philosophical discourse that Krishna spoke to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So we can get to know Krishna through what he speaks. And then the Srimad Bhagavatam is actually going in more depth. So it's actually telling us how Krishna behaves in his entourage. And he speaks about the thoughts of Krishna. And then the Chaitanya Charitamrita is actually even reveals more about Krishna. It's actually, because Chaitanya Charitamrita is a revelation about Lord Chaitanya's heart. So Lord Chaitanya speaks his heart like that. So Srimad Bhagavatam, in this verse, it says, although these young men are the sons of a very rich Kuvera, and I have nothing to do with them. So Krishna is thinking here. He said, I have nothing to do with them. Who are these guys? I've got nothing to do with them. But Devarshi Narada is my very dear and affectionate devotee. And therefore, because he wanted me to come face to face with them, I must do so for their deliverance. So the reason Krishna gives them mercy is because of his devotee. So again, Krishna is subservient to his devotee. So Krishna doesn't know them. I've got nothing to do with them. Who are these guys? I don't know them. But because through the devotee, because Narada Muni said, okay, Krishna, please give them mercy. So Krishna becomes subservient to his Bhakta Vatsala. So because on the request of his devotee, he gives them that mercy. So similarly in our spiritual life, we always need to beg mercy from the devotees. We shouldn't think that we are doing it by ourselves, Actually, everything we have is out of mercy. It's out of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. It's out of the mercy of Guru. And it's out of the mercy of all the devotees who are getting together and helping us get to know Krishna. So that's one thing to note from this Leela as well. And yeah, so that's basically the Leela, and this is the Damodar Leela. So Krishna gets tied to the grinding motor because he stole butter and he made Mother Yashoda angry. And then he pulled this motor, he dragged it between the two Arjuna trees. These trees fell and these two sons of Kuvera got liberation through. This is called the Damodar pastimes. And it happened in this month of Damodar. And because Krishna is so merciful, because of this Leela, so in this month, whatever little devotional service we do, we get special mercy. So this is why you see all the devotees are doing some extra endeavor this month. So if you're chanting, or is there anyone here for the first time? No? Okay, that's great. Yeah, you're here for the first time, well, welcome. Yeah, so just like a quick intro, we as devotees, we chant, even you see Brett here, he's got his japa, he's chanting. You know, how many rounds are you chanting now, Brett? If you don't mind me asking.
I can't even remember. As much as I can.
Wow, so you're chanting so much,
Yeah.
you can't remember this, so you're chanting constantly, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's nice to keep count, so when you're chanting, you also need to have like a counter. If you don't have one, you need to get one, because you need to do a minimum of 16, so at the start you can do whatever is suitable for you, but the goal is to do 16. So each time you do one round, you can get it down on your counter. Yeah, so that's a good way. But the point is, in this month, we always need to do an extra endeavor. So if you're chanting, anyone wants to say how many rounds of chanting? They want to put you in the spotlight. Oh, Nikunj. Nikunj is chanting 6 rounds, that's amazing.
Well done, man.
That's amazing. So Nikunj, in this month, we have to put an extra endeavor. So instead of 6, just chant 7 if you can.
7.
Yeah, in this month. And then leave it at 7, keep going on 7, and keep increasing. So this is a special opportunity because we get the mercy from Krishna to put an extra endeavor. So we need to do that. And Shri Panchatataki Jai. I've got a bit more time. You're making the offering, right?
Do you have time?
Yes,
Yes,
you're
okay.
offering.
Yeah. So this is the pastime of Damodar. And before we conclude, so now one more thing. So when Krishna, they tied him to the grinding motor. So who untied him after? Nanda Maharaj untied him. And who tried to untie him before Nanda Maharaj? So when Krishna was tied to the grinding motor, his friends came and they were trying to untie him. So all the Gopas came and they were trying to untie him. And they couldn't untie him. But it was Nanda Maharaj who came and actually untied Krishna. And the reason is given is because the love that Yashoda, Mother Yashoda, and Nanda Maharaj have for Krishna is parental love. So we have different rasas. We have Shantaras, we have Dasharas, we have Sakyaras, we have Vatsalya ras, and then we have Madhurya ras. So Vatsalya ras is this kind of love, the parental affection, is higher than Dasyaras and Sakyaras. So Sakyaras, all the Gopas, we were friends of Krishna. But because of that, they couldn't overcome the love of Mother Yashoda, because her love was like higher up, so they couldn't untie him. And Nanda Maharaj came and untied Krishna, like that. So this is an amazing pastime, you know, and yeah, we're going to conclude here. So I hope you picked a few things from this, and yes, any questions?
I have one question, Prabhu.
Yeah.
In Karthik, is the benefit 100 times or 1,000 times? Because some places it says 100, some it says 1,000.
Yeah, I heard 1,000 times. I heard 1,000 times through Damodar. And when, like, Indra Prabhu says it's I mean, in the scriptures I heard 1,000 times from the Karthik month. And Indra Prabhu also says, so you can get 1,000 times. So he says we need to have some cheat sheets, you know, like we need, sometimes we might use things to make the best out of it. So you're getting 1,000 times benefit because it's the month of Karthik. So if you chant 16 rounds, it means you're chanting 16,000 rounds. But then if you go to the Dham, again everything gets multiplied by 1,000 times in the Dham. So now, what are the benefits? So if you're in the Dham during the month of Karthik, you get 1,000 times 1,000, right? And then he said, yeah, like that.
And if we do wrong things, do we get help in
Yeah.
things?
Yes, if we do offenses or
Yeah.
things like that, it also gets amplified by 1,000 times. So we need to focus on our spiritual life and do our best. You know?
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's all I have to say. Is there anyone have any questions? Or if not, we can do a quick kirtan. Kirtan, okay. Who says kirtan?
I'm saying kids.
Would you like to read a quick kirtan, Mataji? Okay, I'll put it on the microphone.
His Grace Vrajendranandana Dāsa.